The hunting horn is a bit of a strange weapon to judge due to the melodies attached to the horn being the defining feature on whether or not a horn is effective. In this video, we are going to look at the 3 best hunting horns, but before we do that, there's one new mechanic introduced in Wilds that has a big impact on this weapon category specifically. With the introduction of 2 weapons per hunt, you're now able to carry 2 different hunting horns. The reason this is significant is because the melody effects from one horn actually remain in effect even after you've swapped to another horn. This means unlike most other weapons, the 2 hunting horns that you bring along tend to function as a single unit. This means the melodies on one hunting horn actually can complement the melody list of a second hunting horn. So while we discuss the 3 best hunting horns, we will also be discussing horns that complement them. Coming in at number 3 is the Guardian Rathalos horn. This horn gets into white sharpness for that increased damage. In addition, the stats for this horn are pretty decent, with the most notable being the 15% affinity. However, this horn comes with Master's Touch, which is incredible for helping maintain that white sharpness level. With the meta being affinity focus, you can get away with just using one level 1 handicraft in your decorations and go for crit boost 5. Looking at the melody list, you get plenty of utility with this horn, such as attack up large for that 10% increased attack power. It also comes with the defense up large, which isn't the best, but it's always welcome. Sonic Barrier gives you and allies hyper armor, which is only brief, but it can be situational. But when the situation is right, this melody is awesome. And finally, Resounding Melody is the hardest hitting attack in the Hunting Horn moveset. As far as what horns pair well with this, I think there's only one real option, and that's the Gormagala horn. That horn specifically has a song that increases your affinity by an additional 15%. This will give the Guardian Rathalos horn a base crit of 30%, which means your skill slots are even more freed up and you can just go for raw damage instead of crit. This also has the added benefit of working more with Master's Touch for more effectiveness. The second best hunting horn is the Rathian horn. This is a very strong party horn with the multiple healing melodies while also being able to provide your party attack up large for that additional 10% increased attack power. In addition, this horn has a decent amount of white sharpness, which means that you can get away with sharpening a minimal amount of times. The innate crit on this weapon also means you can more easily take advantage of a weapon skill like Master's Touch or Critical Boost. Really, the only drawback for this weapon is that the innate skills it comes with are a little lackluster. Poison is relatively weak in the grand scheme of things, but with the poison duration up, it might be possible to run things like Foray. Overall though, if you're planning on running a team horn, I believe this is going to be the best bet, as nobody will die while you're carrying this horn. For a good pairing, you can also run the Gormagala horn for an additional 30% base affinity, or you can run the Kangalala horn and that will give you a full range of support melodies and stamina up reduced and defense up large. Or if you really want to lean into that poison playstyle and foray, you can also go with the Gypsaros horn, which gives more status attack up and divine protection for additional survivability. Before we get to our number 1 slot, we have a few quick honorable mentions to call out. The first is the Jin Dahad horn. This horn is pretty beefy as an elemental horn, while also having multiple songs that allows this horn to be pretty flexible. It comes with white sharpness and it has Slugger 3 innately, making it easier to stun monsters. It also comes with recovery speed up, although it's small, and divine protection to bring sustain to the party. This horn also comes with offset melody, so you'll be able to offset monsters and play a little bit more defensively that way. Really, the strength of this horn comes down to its flexibility, as it can be played as both a primary and secondary horn. It doesn't really excel in any particular areas though, other than being an elemental horn. Next is the Gormagala. This makes for a perfect secondary horn, and really only a secondary horn due to earplugs and affinity melodies. Affinity is currently only available on this horn, unless I'm blind, but the reason you don't really take this as a primary horn is due to crit element being a little lackluster and other horns simply doing things better, namely our number 1 horn. Our next honorable mention is the Kangalala horn. This is a raw damage weapon with mainly utility melodies, making it a well-rounded raw horn. The echo bubble is the main thing to know about this horn. It gives an additional 25% affinity and 9% attack damage while you stand in the bubble and for a few seconds after leaving it, making this horn deal some pretty solid damage. The other notable effects here are the white sharpness, but more importantly, the 2 level 3 decorations that are available to this weapon. And as a final honorable mention, we have our Ardean horn. The base songs for this horn kind of suck if I'm being honest, but again, you can always supplement these with a secondary horn to provide something like attack up large, or maybe affinity, or anything else that's really missing. Like many versions of the Ardean weapons, the real value comes when you apply paralysis to the weapon. This pairs extremely well with blunt damage to build up the stun effect, which can make for a very oppressive playstyle. As always, these Ardean weapons also have some white sharpness, but really it's the 3 level 3 decorations that help create a custom build to your liking. And finally, for the best horn in the game, we have the Arkfeld horn. This horn has a decent chunk of white sharpness and the resounding melody, which again, this is the highest single attack available to hunting horns. As far as an offensive horn goes, this is the best you can get. It also synergizes extremely well with any secondary horn due to its ability to extend all melody effects. So this essentially means the maintenance aspect of utility melodies and needing to reapply them is no longer relevant when you're using this horn. In addition, you do not have to invest in sharpness with this weapon due to it having the restore sharpness melody, which is insane for maintaining that white sharpness. This also means anytime you're playing with a group of melee players, you can maintain their sharpness levels as well. Everyone will love you for this horn. The horns that pair well with the Arkfeld horn is basically anything that's providing melody coverage. For example, Gormagala's horn maximizes your damage output by giving you affinity. The Rathalos horn might give you stamina reduction, meaning you can maintain maximum might easier, or you could even get some tools from the Jin Dahad set like Divine Protection or Elemental Damage Boost to increase your dragon damage. Almost everything pairs well with this Arkfeld horn, so that's one of the reasons why it's so strong. But that's going to wrap up our top 3 hunting horns. Let me know if you agree with this list down in the comments, or what you believe might be a sleeper strong horn. This was Goober Troy, and as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the hunt.